Many pundits and fans can't stop talking about why they are so excited to see Wolves play this season. After being a somewhat unfancy club that has seen its share of ups and downs throughout its history, both literally in regards to promotion and relegation and figuratively in regards to financial problems, Wolves are looking reinvigorated with new ownership, exciting young talent, a manager who likes attacking football, and the confidence that comes with bossing the championship. What up? I'm Adrian, by the way, and welcome to Rabona TV. In this video, we'll be going over the more recent history of Wolves and why you shouldn't skimp on watching them play in this coming Premier League season. This is part of our Explainer series where we go in depth on various topics in football, so if that sounds interesting to you and you're finding us for the first time, then be sure to hit that subscribe button for more. First, a bit of history on Wolves and what their financial situations, plural, were like prior to the present day good times. In the 1980s, Wolves declared bankruptcy no less than twice, with the 80s agreed to have been the worst decade in the history of the club. Then, jumping ahead to the 21st century, Wolves have been promoted to the Premier League in 2003 and 2009. In 2003, they were basically relegated before the first kick of the ball, as very little investment into improving the squad was made, and Wolves finished in 20th, dead last, with only 33 points to show for. As for their promotion for the 2009-2010 Premier League season, things went swimmingly. Well, by their standards at the time, as Wolves finished 15th in their first season in the top flight since the disastrous 2003-2004 season. The following year, they slipped down 2 places to 17th, just barely keeping their heads above the relegation zone. But 1 year later, in the 11-12 season, they were ridiculously bad. I mean, worse than their 03-04 season, as Wolves floundered to another 20th placed finish with a measly 25 points to their name. Would you believe me if I told you it got worse from there? Following their Premier League relegation, Wolves did the double, finishing 23rd in the championship and dropping down to League One for their second consecutive relegation. They did secure promotion back into the championship with a first place finish in the 2013-14 League One season and clawed their way back up to eventual mid-table obscurity in the championship. At the end of that first season of mid-table obscurity, the 2015-16 season, the club was purchased by Fosun International Group for a reported £30 million deal in July of 2016. Fosun are a Chinese conglomerate that dips their toes into fashion, tourism, real estate, health products, etc. So, the first thing people wonder whenever there's a new takeover of a club is, what's the guy worth? Or guys, in this instance. Well, as of March 2018, they took their net worth up to £60 billion, which is about $79 billion if you're rounding up. Wolves had new owners and many new signings brought in, but still they were just bang average for their first season under their new owners. And hey, there's that second season of mid-table obscurity that I warned you about earlier, as Wolves finished in 15th. Then, everything changed with Jorge Mendes getting involved with the club. Just a refresher for you, Jorge Mendes is the super agent in football and the man behind the Gesch de Foot sports agency, which represents the likes of José Mourinho, Cristiano Ronaldo, James Rodriguez, Nicolas Otamendi, Radamel Falcao, etc., etc. He's got a lot of big boys in there. How does Mendes find himself getting involved with an English Midlands club which happens to be owned by a Chinese conglomerate? Well, it turns out that Fosun International Group actually own a stake in Gesch de Foot. Et voila! Jorge Mendes has an unofficial role at the club in recruitment. Unofficial because, of course, he is mainly referred to as a close friend and associate of the club due to his relationship with the ownership and someone that they, quote, take opinions and advice from. Given that it would be bad if he had an official role at the club given that he's an agent. Well, the first bit of business that Mendes managed to pull off was the signing of Portuguese coach Nuno Espírito Santo. Nuno didn't have the most decorated managerial career at the time of his appointment without a single piece of silverware to his name. But hey, he was actually Jorge Mendes' first ever client as a football agent, so there's that. They met way back, like 21 years ago, when Jorge Mendes was working at a club in Portugal. What followed was a flurry of signings, as Portuguese wonderkid Diogo Jota was signed on loan from Atletico Madrid, John Ruddy was brought in, Barry Douglas, the high-flying Ruben Neves, who signed for a championship record fee of £15.8 million, Willy Boly was brought in on loan, Ruben Vinagre, Bonatini, etc., etc. A summer signing spree that brought in good, young talent that Nuno was able to mold into an incredible team. They kicked off the season with a 1-0 win over Middlesbrough, followed by a comprehensive 2-0 win away to Derby County. They followed that with another win on the road, with Neves and Jota getting their sparkling season into gear. Following the 3 wins to kick off the season, Wolves hit some adversity with a loss to Cardiff, followed by a bore draw with Brentford. But by the time October 14th rolled around, Wolves grabbed on to first place with a 2-0 win over their rivals, Aston Villa. While they would relinquish their hold on first on matchday 14, the next one, due to a 2-1 loss to QPR, a 2-0 win in their next match took them back to the top, and they never looked back. From matchday 15, October 31st, 2017, on to matchday 46, May 6th, 2018, Wolves stayed in first place, winning the league with 99 points, the most since Leicester tallied 102 in the 2013-14 season in the Championship. Now, let's get into some of the personnel in the squad that you'll be getting familiar with this season. As I alluded to earlier, Ruben Neves established himself as a top player alongside Diogo Jota. In the case of Neves, he arrived with a price tag after failing to make a lasting impression with his boyhood club, FC Porto. With Wolves, he plays as a deep-lying playmaker, making great use of his vision, ability on the ball, and ability to pick out a pass. Oh, and he also has a knack for scoring some long-range screamers. I'm sure you saw the highlights of this goal against Derby in April.
Comes out to Neves, flicks it up, it's on the volley! Oh!
Some Wolves fans claim that that is the greatest goal that has been scored at the Molineux. Diogo Jota and Ivan Cavaleiro are 2 players that look to get on the end of said passes by Neves, with Jota having arrived at the Molineux on loan from Atletico Madrid. As I said, his pace and finishing made him an instant hit with Wolves fans. In fact, Jota was so impressive that in January of 2018, Wolves announced that they would be exercising their option to make Jota's move a permanent one. 17 goals from 44 championship appearances, and he only cost them 14 million euros. Not bad at all. Ivan Cavaleiro is another player that Wolves fans have come to love. Cavaleiro is happy on either wing and adds to Wolves' devastating counterattack alongside striker Leo Bonatini, who, while he only scored 12 goals in 43 appearances, he's a lot more than a finisher. He's incredible at holding up the ball and can dish out a pass to either his wide men or back to Neves to dictate the play from deep. We gotta give love to Romain Saiss as well, Neves' central midfield partner, as he was also just as capable of playing a killer ball to the wide men or working a give and go with Bonatini. Lining up in a 3-4-3, the wing backs of Barry Douglas and Matt Doherty are also very involved in the Wolves' attack, where when you add everything together is a high-paced, exciting, lethal attack that scored a league-high 82 goals while staying defensively sound, conceding a league lowest 39 in 46 matches. So, you can see how they are an interesting team to watch based solely on the season they had last year. Now, they've improved further with the acquisitions of big names such as Portuguese midfielder João Moutinho, brought in to use his experience to help those promising young players along in the top flight. He'll be battling Saiss for his starting spot. Then there's the massive transfer coup which saw Rui Patricio leave Sporting Lisbon and signing on a free with Wolves, following tensions between the players, the fans, and the president. If you don't know what happened there, I have a video about it that I'll link in the comments. Now, I will say that Wolves could end up having to pay Sporting some sort of compensation for his fee, as that's still an ongoing dilemma. But Patricio was a crazy signing nonetheless. He could have moved on from Sporting ages ago and gone to a top club in any of the top 5 leagues. Ruddy did well last season, clearly, as he featured in all but one of Wolves' championship matches, but Patricio is undoubtedly an upgrade, and a keeper who has been Sporting's starter since he was just like 20 years old. He's 30 now, by the way. So he has a ton of experience. And of course, in the attack, Wolves managed to bring in Mexican striker Raul Jimenez on loan from Benfica. As a Benfica fan, I know that Jimenez has ability, though he often left me feeling a bit let down. However, through much of his Benfica career, his time was marred with injuries and infrequent opportunities on the pitch, so with a new team, a new attacking setup that he should thrive under, and in a new country, I'm extremely excited to see if he can finally deliver on his potential and come on back to Benfica and continue to show off said potential. What's nice to see about the takeover story with Wolves in comparison to some other clubs is that they are seemingly building the club up for what seems like the long term, bringing in players like Cavaleiro, Ruben Neves, Jota, and Bonatini all on permanent deals. This isn't a club that is trying to buy up Premier League has-beens in a cheap bid to quickly get to the top flight and then fall off completely and continue to yo-yo. Wolves have a manager that is going through the strongest period of his relatively short career thus far, setting the team up perfectly to be able to give any Premier League side a fright with their stunning and counter-attacking play, as well as their ability to build slowly, moving up the pitch with quick, incisive passes. They're pretty solid defensively as well. Now, one criticism of them is that they do have quite a few smaller skilled players that can be bullied or dominated against physical teams. And in a league like the Premier League, this could be the one problem for them. Add to the fact that beyond the starting 11, they lack in some depth. If injuries pile up, Wolves could be in a spot of bother. But besides that, Wolves have football fans excited due to the fact that they seem like a team that could walk from the championship right into somewhere around the mid-table. They seem like a real team of value to be added to the Premier League, by the way. In essence, it would be refreshing to see a team that can come up into the Premier League and will try to play attacking football and play good attacking football, seemingly free of fear of their opposition. Well, when it comes to that last part, I mean, that remains to be seen. Plus, with rumors of them bringing in further reinforcements and some of the names that they have been linked with, the potent mix of experience and the youthful joie de vivre that Wolves played with last year will be a joy to watch. So, will you be watching Wolves play next season? Where in the table do you think they'll end up? Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, then be sure to hit that like button for me and subscribe if you're new around here. But besides that, that's all I've got. I'm Adrian, and I hope to catch you in the next video. Later.